Oh, hey there. This is Snowy Shaw. You're listening to Sonic Perspectives.
Hello everyone, it's Rodrigo here bringing you another interview for Sonic Perspectives. Our guest today is the inimitable Snowy Shaw, whom you may know from bands like King Diamond, Merciful Fate, Therion, Dream Evil, and many more. Snowy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, I gotta say.
Yeah, let's talk about your upcoming biography, The Book of Heavy Metal. Why did you feel that now is a good time to revisit your career and tell your whole story in a book?
I gotta say, I mean, with all this COVID-19 and everything happening, it has put a hold or a shackle on the whole world. I've been writing on this for 10 years, so it's just a coincidence that I happen to release it now. I was actually supposed to be out on a European tour, sort of like book signing tour, where I will also play music and, meet fans, shake hands, and do Q&A and all that. Also in America, but then this thing hit, and I had to rethink how I should get it out and promote it, and but since now people can sit home and read books instead of being out touring and stuff, so things has changed.
Oh yeah. Even hearing you talk about meet and greets and shaking hands, even shaking hands is a strange concept these days, so crazy times, man. Oh wow.
The worst part is that everybody seemed to we just take a pause. 2020, and we're just going to postpone it push it back until next year. But, the more time goes by, I mean, you don't know if it's ever going to get over this or something. I mean, they can probably introduce a vaccine or something, but nobody knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that maybe the world will not get back to the way it used to, and we're going to be sort of limited in touring all over borders and entering other countries and like that and stuff like that. It's going to be more difficult for sure.
Yeah. The Book of Heavy Metal, it's such a great title. And you did mention in the beginning of the book that you had other options like Diary of a Madman, right?
Yeah.
How did you settle?
Yeah, but then I came to this conclusion. I just remember this. Of course, I wrote a song called The Book of Heavy Metal, and that is, to this day, it's the most popular song that I've written. And I did with Dream Evil, and the album is also called The Book of Heavy Metal. And I thought that is just too obvious to ignore. I mean, of course, my own book should be The Book of Heavy Metal,
Absolutely. Yeah. So you mentioned that this was like a work in progress, and it took you a long time to write the book, right? 10 years, you said.
Yeah, but I haven't been writing all the time. I mean, it's like it started out as actually like a homemade therapy, basically, because I needed to, come to terms with my inner demons or whatever. Because after I turned 40, I had like this big ass midlife crisis and started to question things and what have I achieved, what I have accomplished. I felt like the biggest loser ever, even though I had been just out on a full year tour with Therion all over the world, and I came home. But it was like I kind of crash landed, and I need to get things in perspective and look back on life and all that. It happens to me every 10 years, more or less, because you reach 20, 30, 40, 50, and it's time to sit down a little bit and you hit the crossroad, sort of. You need to think for a moment there.
Yeah, no, it happens to all of us for sure. I'm 46. I've been through all that as well. So
Yeah.
And just from talking to you and after reading the book, I can tell that there was no outside help or anything like that. No ghost writers. You did the whole thing yourself, right?
Yeah, I even published it myself and designed it and print it, not by hand, but I pay for everything and I do everything myself. But I mean, one thing you can read throughout the book is like, I didn't start out like that, thinking that I should do everything. I started out playing drums, but I soon discovered that, that I picked drums. Maybe that's not the ideal instrument if you want to be the songwriter, for example. Yeah, so gradually I learned to play a little bit so I can write the songs and show it to the other guys, because they didn't have a lot of ideas like I did. And and everything, I mean, I've always been sort of like drawing and stuff and come up with logos and blah, 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 this and that. And I have all those kind of ideas for stage props and all that too, and whatever it is. So I reached the point that do it yourself. I mean, that's the best thing. I mean, otherwise, I mean, you may not have the money for it. So it's just like out of necessity. You have to create it yourself. And I also discovered that you try to verbally express or describe how you want things, and it's so difficult, and all the nuances and whatever it is, you know, it's kind of hard. So if you're capable of it, doing it yourself, I mean, it's probably for the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there's some cool illustrations at the beginning of each chapter and unique layout in the book. You did all that, right? Everything was your choice.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Do you feel that this has been a cathartic experience for you? I mean, was it painful in any way to revisit certain memories or not?
Yeah, you know, in order to sort of get it right, I needed to kind of relive the whole thing and go through the process of you know, people passing or you know, kind of, you know, dark periods and depression or whatever it is, or also like joyous moments and stuff like that. You have to relive them and try to understand why I felt the way I did when before I quit a band or something. I mean, maybe I was like too young or inexperienced or too wrapped up in myself to clearly see what was going on. But I mean, now when you revisit your life, when you're much older and more experienced, you can, okay, that was the thing. And I mean, so it was very much like a catharsis or whatever you call that. Yeah.
Okay.
I call it, yeah.
Yeah. And one thing you mentioned was the Kiss influence at the beginning. And it's no secret that you like Priest, Saxon, and the usual suspects in metal, right? What are some of your other influences, and how did your family take the fact that you liked metal?
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, just like I sing in that song, I mean, because it happened to be based on me, Book of Heavy Metal, like, don't need no fancy how I kind of rebel against your parents and stuff. But I got into this kind of music thing, you know, in 1976, that's when I discovered Kiss, and I was 7 then, and it changed my life. It's like almost a before and after moment, because instead of, I lived just like a stone toss away from the original Volvo factory here in Gothenburg and stuff. And that was sort of my predestined way to walk, you know, like working class suburban kid. But, you know, and everything else was unheard of. But, you know, when I discovered Kiss, like, wow, I want to be like that. That's kind of hard to swallow for your semi-alcoholic working class, you know, father and mother. You know, I mean, get real now. That's just fantasy. No, I'm gonna fucking make it. Whatever, you know. But it took a lot of time, of course.
Yeah, and you know, funny you mentioned that, because I'm fascinated by one aspect of your book. It's a kind of a paradox in your upbringing, because, like you said, your parents were like working class who fought hard to make ends meet. But you, on the other hand, you talk about living life to the fullest all the time in your book. Do you think there's maybe a contradiction there, or a reaction to how your parents raised you? Or
yeah, it probably is. And I mean, they usually say that apple doesn't fall that far from the tree, because I mean, you end up that is part of growing up, I suppose. You should revolt against the adult world, or find your own way and find your own path in life. And but eventually you're going to come back pretty much to your own roots or you know, your social status or whatever it is, you know. So I haven't made that kind of transition in a way, but I guess it is. But I mean, I just refuse to be a average Joe or like you say in Sweden, a Svensson, you know, because I know, I mean, I couldn't think of anything worse than work 9 to 5 in a factory and you get drunk on Friday and beat up your wife because you're pissed off at your boss or whatever. I mean, no, that's not for me. I'd rather die than have that kind of life. You know, I want to express myself and follow my heart and wherever it may take me, you know.
Yeah.
So
no, that does come across in the book a lot. Yeah. And
yeah, I guess it does. I guess it does because I mean, it's been a struggle. I mean, just to be able to follow my heart and be able to do that because I mean, I quit a lot of big bands and I done a lot of stupid ideas. From the outside, maybe they think, okay, what a stupid decisions like to quit those kind of famous bands and all that. But if I'm not pleased, why am I doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fully agree. Yeah. And I love the part of the book where you mention your first band, Gummy Band or Gummy Band.
Yeah.
Are you guys still in touch or?
Yeah, but if you're aware of King Diamond, guys, Michael Moon, he actually joined King Diamond in like 87 or something like that. So we were schoolmates and, but the other guy bought the book and stuff. So I mean, they read about all the old memories from when we were growing up in the youth center and, started out, cutting our teeth, learning how to play and all that, So.
Without revealing too much about the book, it's great that you told the story of how you met Mikkey Dee. And was there ever a sense of rivalry between the two of you or more camaraderie?
I guess it is. I mean, I gotta thank my lucky star that sort of in our small community that you have someone who was that good and, looking back on it now that became a world famous artist like he or a drummer like that, well established, but he put the bar pretty high up, I suppose, so you measure yourself against that. And that probably made me better. And, because otherwise I would be just pleased with comparing myself to crappy drummers locally or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, probably. But of course. He made a lot of a thing that sort of crossed my mind just maybe 10 years ago or something. And I told him about that because historically, or whatever you say, in rock history, you have like Charlie Watts and all those guys in the background. But Mikkey Dee was like more of a center of attention. He was like the coolest guy in the band or something like that. And you can be that. You don't necessarily have to be the timekeeper in the back. You can stick out your chin and steal the light or something like that.
And to do that in a band like King Diamond, where everybody's so flashy, right? Even the central character who is King, right? He stood out. So it's amazing. Yeah,
but Mikkey, I mean, we always joke about that because I mean he left stage because there was not enough light on him when he was in King Diamond. He just refused and went backstage. No, I refuse to go up unless it's more light on me. So King had the whole audience shout for Mikkey. So, and I think it's so anti-Swedish. You gotta, the law of Jante. I mean, I don't know. You're not familiar with that, but you're not supposed to think that you're something special. But I mean, if you want something, you gotta fucking make it yourself. And believe in yourself. I mean, if you don't have faith in yourself, nobody else gonna have that, right?
Yeah. And Mikkey was, of course, even more so a central figure in your life because he recommended you to replace him in King Diamond when he decided to leave.
Yeah, it started out like that, yeah.
Can you tell me what it felt when you met King and what it was like to work with him in general?
I don't know if I thought that much about it. I mean, I certainly never met a Satanist before him. So I don't know what kind of expectations I had or anything like that. But he was the coolest guy, really down to earth and humble and, kind-hearted and all like that. And just a very serious musician and stick to his own craft and his own art and all that. And I have only respect for that because he hasn't compromised really. I mean, he just followed his own heart all the way through. And but I met him when they were living in Los Angeles and he wasn't the typical party animal. I mean, it's not like he was involved in that scene so much. He just happened to be there because the band, it was a good, stepping stone for the band to be living in Los Angeles at that point in the 80s because everything sort of was the epicenter for the metal scene, I suppose, Yeah.
Okay. One of the funniest bits I read in the book is when you said you were invited to join a Christian dance band, whatever that is, at the same time that King invited you. That is awesome.
But after I had in my teens, I had like, you're not so sure when you're a young teenager how life is going to pan out and how you're supposed to live your life. So I had like regular day jobs, but I got fired from 12 of them within 2 years. Oh, and after that, I was like, no, I'm never going to do this again, because I couldn't motivate myself to do that. And I thought, okay, I'm going to play music one way or the other to get by and earn a living. And I saw this ad in a newspaper, like a dance band seeking a drummer. So I called them up and they only asked me if I can play a shuffle in whatever it was, 145 BPM or something like that. But then I got the offer from King Diamond, and they were like a Christian band wearing, like those kind of suits in whatever you say, cheesy, creamy colors or whatever. And it was a tough choice. Should I choose the Christian dance band or a Danish Satanist?
Wow. Tough choice.
Yeah, tough choice. Very much so.
Yeah. And speaking of some of your other endeavors, in the book you mentioned that the first time you ever met the other guys in Dream Evil was in a photo shoot for the first album. It's funny how nowadays this is a lot more common, with supergroups being put together without the band members even seeing each other or meeting each other, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes to Dream Evil, you were kind of dismissive about the band's sound in the book. You call them fluffy power metal with extra cheese. How do you think they're going to react to this?
I didn't like that kind of thing. I mean, I thought they were so proud having written this concept album about a dragon slayer, and I thought they were not so they didn't have that much knowledge about that or writing lyrics and stuff. So it felt like my mom would write the script to Conan the Barbarian. It was on that level, kind of cheesy, But anyway, so once I got involved and more involved in the whole creative process and wrote music and lyrics and stuff like that, and I sort of steered it into more like a tongue-in-cheek kind of humoristic thing when we played with all those stupid heavy metal cliches,
Yeah.
But before that, I mean, it was dead serious or whatever you should say. I mean, they didn't have a sense of humor about it, at least. But I thought this was like Spinal Tap.
Yeah. I think it's better to be intentional about the Spinal Tap angle rather than just involuntarily, right? So.
Yeah. To be humoristic involuntarily, I mean, that's kind of bad. Unintentionally, I mean,
Yeah. And there's a lot of anecdotes about Therion, many incidents while on tour, and the whole Dimmu Borgir versus Therion thing, which was kind of a horrible period for you, right?
Yeah, it was maybe the worst, actually.
Yeah. How would you reflect on that nowadays, looking back and seeing the choices that you made?
Yeah, but I don't have any regrets of how I handled that. I hung in there for as long as I possibly could, and I had the best of intentions from day one, And but people can read more about that to kind of get the hang of it or understand the whole thing that I went through. But this was kind of like adult bullying and all those power games, and it wasn't the band members because it was the manager. And to me, it's like, what the fuck is this? I mean, in my world, a manager is someone who takes care of the practical stuff like booking flights and blah, 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 whatever it is, while the band is the creative force, and they are the shit, basically, And so I couldn't understand. I mean, why are you following the manager? I mean, you're not a boy band, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And what was it like for you to transition from the drum kit into the forefront and to being the only singer on certain bands? Did it come naturally to you, or?
No, it was like I tried to describe in the book. I mean, it didn't come natural at all. It was more out of necessity because, just like I mentioned, I learned to play a little bit of just guitar and bass and stuff just to be able to write the songs because nobody else had any ideas, and I had a lot of ideas. And to sit behind the drums and kind of voice them out or sound them out, and they'd have to pick that up. It was like really difficult. Same thing with vocalist. I mean, I didn't have a clue really. I mean, so when we started out, and I thought, I want some guy who, sings like Eric Adams, a cross between him and Rob Halford. And I just figured this was way before internet and all. Well, you got to be someone here in the neighborhood. And I just like had way too high expectations, and nobody could live up to my expectations, really. Yeah. And it was extremely hard to find people. So eventually I reached a point, like when I was like 25 or something, fuck, this doesn't work. I have to do it myself, and it's not the most natural thing to be a drummer sort of in the background and also do the vocals, and you want to interact with the audience and do this and that. So it took a long time, I guess.
And I like what you did with the King Diamond songs you sing live, by the way. You did them justice without impersonating King.
I mean, I put out my live DVD, Snowy Shaw, 25 Years of Madness in the Name of Metal, in 2014, I think, because we were doing this long tour in Europe. A lot of former, like Soviet Union countries, and that I basically never heard of almost, but they kept saying, yeah, you should go back to Memento Mori. Why don't you do a new album with Ill Will? And why I want to see you play drums again and go back to Notre Dame and all that. So I figured, how can I please all these people? Yeah. It's impossible for me to be in 12 bands at the same time. So that is kind of flattering. But during that tour, it became just too much, and it kind of started to bug me, really. So, one night I just had a vision or whatever. What do you call that? I don't remember the word. But anyway, so I was thinking, what if I do bring in people and make my own band and play all those songs, my favorite songs, with all my former bands. And I'm trying to do it justice, just like you say. I mean, I'm not trying to emulate him perfectly or impersonate him, but to do it justice. And same if I do sort of like black metal vocals or whatever it is, or Memento Mori. I cannot sing like Messiah, I cannot sing like King, but I can do it justice, at least,
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell that from your album White is the New Black, where vocally you go all over the place. It's different styles everywhere in every song, right?
Yeah, I guess it is, because I mean, this is like different directions on the music too, and I want it to match the atmosphere of the music, because sometimes people can say, wow, AC/DC would be a lot better if Yngwie Malmsteen was playing guitar. No, it doesn't fit at all. So it's got to fit the kind of harmonies and the kind of moods or atmosphere of the music. So you have to change your voice around. I mean, So.
Yeah. Tell me about the concept of that album, if you can, which is a compilation in reverse. That's quite unusual. I've never seen anything like that.
Me neither. It took me a long time to come to some sort of conclusion about that, because in my life I've been working maybe simultaneously with two, three bands at the same time, and it's been everything from, let's say, technical doom to glam rock and black metal or whatever. So. And that sort of, I like diversity, just like you like to alternate your food or whatever, So you can have different emotions, different feelings, and different directions. And I'm pleased with being able to have that kind of outlet, some sort of broad horizon there or something. But once I decided to just be on my own and do my own thing, it's like I felt a little bit cornered. What should I do? I mean, I could work with something for, let's say, weeks, and wow, this is the perfect style. This is exactly what I want to do. But eventually I sort of get fed up with that, or because I've been just working too much on it. So it tends to spill over automatically into something else. And let's say I was like doing this pompous Nordic mythology troll kind of thing, whatever it is. Fairy tale kind of based music, and then it spill over into more AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, whatever. It's like, and it doesn't match, but I still want to do all those different things. And how can I do that? Because you cannot combine that into one thing. So I figured like, but I can do, the ideal would be if I had like 3-4 bands, different direction on the band, but it's still going to be just me. So I have like project names for the different albums. And because I mean, I like when they keep it homogenic in a way, just like, wow, they captured a certain mood or feeling, and it go all the way through, from the album cover to the lyrics to the way you sing to the production and whatever it is. Instead of you got to have some sort of direction. Just like I was telling the Dream Evil guys. I mean, they were singing about dinosaurs, and then it was like more Jack Killian, like some guy in a Trans Am raping prostitutes. Yeah, but that doesn't. How do you mix that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Stick to a certain time period at least.
Yeah.
Or something,
It's an art form to fix everything together, for sure.
Yeah.
And actually, I asked around to a few fans for questions for you. A lot of them asked about White is the New Black being released in vinyl in the States. Is it available in that format anywhere? I haven't seen it, to be honest.
Yeah. But through my web shop, I mean, you can buy everything, and I have this direction or whatever you say with my web shop that you got to be quick, because I mean it's limited editions, just like the book is now. I mean, this limited deluxe edition, it's only in 999 copies in Europe and so on, and 666 in America. So that's the thing. But so you can order the double vinyl, white vinyl, and it's signed and dedicated and numbered and all that. So you can do that from my web shop. Absolutely.
Nice. Okay. Back to the book. I think it's already available for purchase, right? And I know there's a special edition which comes numbered and autographed by you, correct?
Yeah, but it's also dedicated to, a special kind of thing to the people who order it, and they get a special dedication too, yeah.
Nice. Not just a signature, a special message there, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So my last questions, do you have any regrets after all those years, and what was the biggest lesson you learned after writing the book?
I don't know. It's still so fresh but I can see that some people are former band members and stuff are no longer friends. So
after reading the book?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, but what I say, I mean, this is, I don't really have any regrets about that. I've been dead honest about everything, and I try to, this is not a vendetta in any way. I mean, to get back at people once I have the microphone, so to speak. But it's just, I wanted to tell the truth, what happened between the scenes, in the studio and whatever it is. And we have those kind of butting heads, all those conflicts or whatever. So it's not any vendetta. I don't want to be rude to people. I just tell it the way it is. And I mean, it's really, really difficult. I mean, people talk about bands all the time, but imagine living in a house with 4 families or something. I mean, it's hard to get along. I mean, big egos and all that, it's tough.
It is difficult. Yeah,
it's really difficult.
Yeah. Well, Snowy, thank you so much, man. All the best with the book, and stay safe. Hope to see you on stage sometime soon.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you soon too. Yeah.
Okay, everyone, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this interview with Snowy Shaw. You can listen to it also on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Also, please follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to finish this interview with the song My Religion from Snowy's most recent album, White is the New Black. Take care and rock on.
Yeah!
You shall have no other gods before me.